Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have a brand new deck for you, but before that, just a quick reminder to please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and every single click counts. And today's deck is going to be centered around Teysa, Opulent Oligarch. For 1 colorless, 1 white and 1 black, she's a legendary creature, Human Advisor 2/3, with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn, and whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. So as I mentioned in the spoiler video for this card, I was initially a little bit unimpressed with Teysa Opulent Oligarch because I thought as the last iteration of Teysa, this didn't seem that good. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I think this is actually quite a strong card, and I've been really excited to put a deck together because of that. It's actually very easy to turn on the ability to make 3 clues per turn, and getting 3 game pieces per turn is nothing to scoff at, particularly when you can then turn those into spirits when you sack them to draw cards. I was initially a bit confused why the second ability has that once per turn limit, but actually the more I've been looking at this and testing it out, the more I realized that it would have been really broken to be able to do it over and over and over. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the Teysa Opulent Oligarch deck list. And we're starting off with Academy Manufactor. This is obviously very good in any deck that is looking to make clues, foods, or treasures, which this deck is. Bartolomé del Presidio is one of the best cards in the deck because it gets to turn all of our clue tokens into counters if we don't have the mana to sacrifice them for other stuff, which also means that it works very well with Teysa's second ability. Benny Brack's Zoologist is really solid and a great way to draw cards in this deck since we can make spirits at instant speed. Braid's Arisen Nightmare works very nicely by putting our opponents into difficult spots. We can just sacrifice our artifact tokens and they're probably going to have a bit more trouble giving up a real artifact. Carmen Cruel Sky Marcher is amazing. She gets really big very easily, gains us a bunch of life, and then reanimates stuff as well. This just does everything. Creeping Bloodsucker is one of the best enabler cards in the deck. It's basically going to turn on our commander all by itself. Downey's Streetwise Lookout works really well by doubling our commander's triggers, but also a bunch of other triggers that we have in the deck. Devouring Sugarmore is really solid as an overstated creature that requires us to feed it tokens, but then it also has Have for Dinner, which gets the ball rolling. Disciple of the Vault is an excellent way to finish the game in this deck for just 1 mana. Drana's Emissary is another great way to turn on our commander's ability, just like Creeping Bloodsucker. Drag Recycler fills 2 different roles very well. One, it can turn on our commander's ability by sacrificing an artifact or creature, but then late game, it's just a good way to use our clues and sack them at instant speed without needing to sink mana into them. God Eternal Bontu can just come in, sacrifice a bunch of clues, and draw that many cards, which is amazing. Keen Duelist is one of my favorite cards, and it can also help us make 1 clue token per turn. Kesket the Flesh Sculptor is really good by giving us some nice card advantage. We're obviously just going to want to be sacking clue tokens and other random tokens to this instead of real cards. Lobelia Sackbill Vagans gives us some graveyard hate and also provides us with some treasures which synergize very well with all of our artifact matters. Lothal Corrupt Sheriff is a great way to generate some treasures and give us some nice advantage. Loyal Subordinate can turn on our commander all by itself, but is also just a legitimate win con if the game goes long enough. Malevolent Witchkite is like a slightly worse version of God Eternal Bontu. It's going to come in and draw us a lot of cards. Marionette Master is probably one of the best finishes in the deck. We have so many artifacts that are going to be hitting the graveyard that this is going to drain our opponents for a ton. Merchant of Truth is in the deck mostly for the first ability, which is going to give us extra clue tokens, but it can sometimes be nice to just attack with 1 really huge creature. Mirkwood Bat is another one of our finishes that also happens to synergize with our commander. Mondrak Glory Dominus is one of the best cards in the deck because it's going to double all of those token generating effects that we have a lot of. Nadir's Nightblade works very well with all of the different tokens that we're going to be using in this deck. Persuasive Interrogators is an alternative win condition that can allow us to just poison somebody out, which is kind of hilarious. Solemn Simulacrum is a great card in commander, and it also happens to synergize with the artifact theme of the deck. So Ginger the Mealender is going to get huge in this deck, and it's also going to scry while it does so. It's really powerful. Teysa Karlov is not only bae, but she also works very well with what our deck is doing because we're going to have a lot of triggers that revolve around creatures dying, and then also she's going to give all of our creature tokens Vigilance and Lifelink, which is great with our spirits. Teysa Orzhov Scion can turn all those spirits that we're going to be making into hard removal, which is incredibly solid, and then whenever our black creatures die, we also get some more spirits. The least Reverent Medium synergizes so well with everything the deck is doing, and and in particular with our commander. Treasury Thrall is a nice bit of recursion for things that have hit our graveyard, but we really want it for the extort, which works very well with Teysa. Warnog Rider's Chaplain is going to provide us with some more clue tokens, and it's going to give our opponents an interesting and probably difficult choice. And Wojciech Investigator is a good reliable way to get some extra clue tokens. Moving on to sorceries, we have Back for Seconds, which is a great way to use all of those tokens we're making to get some really good value. And Rite of Oblivion can also turn all of these tokens we're making into hard removal that we can even recast from the graveyard. For instance, we have Deadly Dispute and Fanatical Offering. These are both slightly different versions of the same effect. Deadly Dispute is a bit better, but they're both very good. Rowan's Grim Search provides us some nice card advantage, and if we get to sacrifice a clue to it, it also gives us really good card selection as well. Moving on to artifacts, we have Cryptolith Fragment, which is a mana rock that does much more than just add mana in this deck by turning on our commander's ability all by itself. Inspiring Statuary is going to allow us to turn all of our clue tokens into mana rocks. Skull Clamp can allow us to draw a bunch of cards with all of the little flying tokens we're going to be making. Tamio's Journal gives us a clue token every upkeep, but more importantly, we can sack 3 clues to search the best card in our deck every single turn. Tarian's Journal can repeatedly draw us cards by sacrificing artifacts or creatures, and if you're already low on cards, you can flip it and start reanimating creatures from your graveyard. Tarian's Soul Keeper is going to let one of your creatures get absolutely huge and have vigilance. Thousand Moon Smithy is going to give you a really big creature token, and then presumably the next turn is going to flip and you can start pumping out more and more of them. And Vat of Rebirth should provide a very constant stream of reanimation in this deck. Moving on to enchantments, we have Agent of the Iron Throne, which is a great way to win the game in this deck. Anointed Procession is going to be crucial by doubling all of the tokens we're making. Bastion of Remembrance is a classic aristocrat card that can act as a backup win con. Blind Obedience provides a source of extort, which works very well with our commander and is also just a very nice soft stacks piece. Life Insurance is going to give us a lot of treasures because it counts all non-token creatures including our opponents, and also the extort is again very nice. Thorough Investigation provides a steady stream of clues, and then we can also start venturing into the dungeon, which is a nice bit of additional value. And Trouble in Pairs is an excellent new card that should be in most white decks and should draw us a lot of cards. For lands, I wanted to highlight a Bojuka Bog to deal with problematic graveyards. Having a Laboratory is amazing in this deck because we can make clue tokens with it, but then also if we sacrifice 3 clues, we just get to reanimate something for free, which is great. And Volta the Archangel can give all of our creatures Death Touch and Lifelink, which can be really annoying for our opponents. So there you have it. That has been our Teysa Opulent Oligarch deck tech. I'm super excited to put this one together to go with my other Teysa deck. What do you think though? Are there any cards that you think I missed? Any cards you think I shouldn't have included? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care.